I will be calling the meeting to order. It's 5:07. This is the February 23rd meeting of the Climate Smart Kingston Commission. Welcome, everyone. My name is Julie Noble. I am the Sustainability Coordinator for the city and the Climate Smart Community Coordinator and the chair of this commission. And with us today, we have Commissioners Kevin McAvoy, Dada Broad, Melissa Iachetta, Dan Smith, Roberto Rivera, Cal Truman, and we have Councilman Karl Frankel, and we have representing the City Engineering Department, Ellie Gartenstein. And it looks like we have one guest, Ashley Morrison. Ashley, if you want to make any public comment, you can raise your Zoom hand and I can call on you. If not, you are welcome to watch the show. Let us know if you need anything. You can also type things into the chat if you'd like to communicate with us. So, are there any modifications to the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to review and approval of the January 2022 meeting minutes. Does anyone have anything they need to comment about the minutes? Not, we need a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move that we approve the minutes. They looked good to me.
Cal, can we get a second?
Well, if we're running out of seconds, I'll second it.
Okay,
I
Kevin?
usually don't do that because I'm, the secretary, but yeah, we can
Okay.
start a new position.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thumbs up or an eye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thumbs down or hand or, okay, Roberto and Beto?
Aye. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, thumbs up, great.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Unanimously approved. Thank you, Kevin, for putting those together. So moving on to old business, an update on the climate action plan. The climate action plan was presented to the Common Council on the February 16th Laws and Rules meeting. I presented basically a modification of the PowerPoint that Cadmus did for the final presentation. I went through what the climate action plan covers, how we got there, what we've achieved since the last climate action plan. There was some discussion. And there was one dissenting vote. If you had a chance to see the Freeman, Alderman Scott Childress voted against it, which I think is ironic considering Alderman Scott Childress was part of the project advisory committee. Either way, everyone can vote as they'd like. He had concerns about our outreach, which I feel as though I adequately addressed, and I feel as though we more than adequately addressed in the process. Either way, everyone can vote as they choose to vote. And so he dissented, everyone else voted for it, and it will go to the final council on March 1st. I don't anticipate that there will be any issues. Even if the council votes against it, it's still our climate action plan. Whether or not they officially make it a city policy or not, it is still our city climate action plan. So yes, Alderman Frankel.
Well, Julie, I just want to say that I think you did, from your reporting, you did spectacular outreach. So I just want to go on record in a public forum saying, I think you did great. So I disagree with Rennie on this one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, I was proud and happy to present the climate action plan regardless of how it was received during the meeting. And I want to thank everyone for your help in getting it that far. So I also presented each of the council members a printed copy, a color printed copy of the climate action plan. I haven't given you all printed copies. If anyone wants a printed copy, I can print and bind one for you. If you are a person that likes to have a printed copy of it, I'm more than happy to do so. I'm not going to mass produce them just for fun to have them around, but if you would like one, certainly request it. I have no issue whatsoever to make one for you. So I can do that. And now we're kind of just plugging through and moving things forward. So each month, I guess each of the things kind of falls into different categories. So I probably will eliminate just climate action plan as its own individual item on the agenda, because each of the things in the climate action plan kind of falls into something that we already discussed. But I guess I can evaluate that each month. It doesn't have to be like a blanket, like climate action plan is off the agenda. It's just that that's the role of this body, right? To move forward the climate action plan. So it just falls into all the other things anyway. And the final version is on the website, engagekingston.com/climate-action-plan. If you want to download it. So any questions or comments on that? There was a good article in the Freeman about it. I thought it was well represented the status of the meeting. So I was happy to see that. All right, so then moving on to refrigerants. Dan, do you have any updates, or does anyone have updates?
I don't think we have anything major to update. I think where we left off last was after all of our efforts, the next thing we were waiting for was for the grant opportunities to drop for sort of the technical assistance on refrigeration campaigns and the pillars of the city plan. But
Yeah, I haven't seen anything come through with the grants yet. I don't know. Wish Maya were here, but I don't know. I haven't seen anything come through yet.
right on the CFA cycle, right?
Was it
Well-
aligning with CFA last year?
I'm not
Sometimes
sure,
those-
but everything's sort of gotten thrown to different dates with the pandemic and
Yeah.
anything state related. So I think we're waiting to hear from that.
Yeah.
We can sort of, hopefully get a grant and we can sort of outsource some of the brain power towards, how do we, I have to look back at our notes, but like, how do we implement some of the things that we've discussed?
Okay, yeah,
The citizen
remember.
outreach, things like that.
I don't remember if it aligned with CFAs last year or just was due in like June, which is sometimes when the other Hudson River, when the other DEC grants are due. So either way, I definitely don't think they've been announced yet. So keep our eyes up. Okay.
Okay,
Anyone else have other things on refrigerants?
nothing that I don't think we've talked about in the last couple meetings.
Okay,
Bit of a
Thanks.
holding pattern.
thanks, Dan. Okay, sustainability projects that don't fall under other categories. I will speak to the three of them. One is open space. The open space plan and moving forward open space acquisition. So this is still in its infancy, but I have been tasked to evaluate about a dozen city-owned parcels that we have taken for back taxes in the last 10 plus years that are not buildable, and to shepherd that through towards making those parcels either designated as parkland or open space. And they are, the parcels that are in question are primarily along, not primarily, they are along South Wall Street and Wilbur Avenue, primarily buffering the Twofskin in the valley in between South Wall and Wilbur. And so from the lower part of South Wall going up Wilbur, there's properties on both sides that kind of are the buffer zone to the stream and are very slow, have quite a bit of slope, are fully forested, or are the water itself or whatever. And the parcels range from 0.6 acres. Oh no, I think there's one even smaller than that. The smallest one is 0.06 acres, which is super small. And the largest parcel is in that space is 3.6 acres. So all total, the ones that I'm looking at right now add up to about almost 12 acres in basically in the Wilbur area. And so have a multiple step process of what I'm doing now. First, I'm evaluating the parcels themselves to understand really if they are fully unbuildable, if it's just something that doesn't have any value whatsoever towards building. When we acquired them, what their back taxes are on them, what the assessed value is, how many acres there are. Having a conversation with the comptroller's office to understand what it would be like for us to be foregoing these back taxes on these properties, if that's something he's interested in doing, having a conversation with Corporation Counsel on what the process is to even take land and change the designation. And I don't know, I'm very naive to this process, so I don't know if like open space is its own designation and parkland is its own designation, and what's the difference between the two and what we want to do. But basically we're looking to designate these as open space in perpetuity. And not necessarily to do active programming or active parkland, but to preserve them. And they happen to be in this corridor, which is fantastic because it's a habitat corridor on a very flashy stream that goes from a very, very small little top scale to a very big flooded event, like sometimes when we have big events. So, and then I will likely have to go to the council to have some kind of resolution. This is all very vague to me because I'm still trying to understand the process. I'm very, very early on in it. But it's exciting because there has been, even just since our open space plan with the acquisition of the land by the Land Trust and the Northeast Cave Conservancy and other things in the Wilbur Avenue area, this is continuing in that swath of that corridor of land. So I'm excited about it. I don't know how it will end up. And it'll probably be a multi-month process. And so keep you all posted. I don't know if, Kevin, do you have any insight into this? Oh, Karl, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick
okay,
question, and I think I know the answer, but I think I need to answer the question, which is this the best and highest sustainability use for that parcel? Because when you talk about a chunk of land within the city limits, I'm going, gosh, we need solar panels. Maybe is this a solar farm as an option? Have you looked at that, considered that as an alternative?
So it's not easy for me to point out where all the parcels are, but if you drive up South Wall Street and basically on your left and right, and if you drive up Wilbur Avenue, basically on your left, it's these parcels that are very steep, very forested, or have a stream on them. And so if we were to do solar at all, it would involve like fully clear cutting all this land, which I wouldn't want to do. So, and as you know, there's about a dozen parcels we need to look at. Some of them, like there's no way no one could ever build on it ever because it's like totally in a floodplain or whatever. And there's other parcels that might have parts on that maybe we would, separate out. We're very, very early on, and I'm not, sitting here looking for a grab to take things off the tax rolls. But if there's a way for us to achieve things in our open space plan and also protect this land, it seems like a win. So we're still just beginning the investigation of it. If anyone does want to understand closer, like what the parcels are, I'm not prepared to publicly state beyond where I'm talking right now what parcels they are. But I can certainly talk to folks offline if you'd like.
Thank you very much. I would just note that a friend of mine swore up and down that he saw a catamount down in that part of the Wilbur Woods a couple of years ago. So
I will say I lived on, before I lived where I do now, I lived on Chapel Street, which is a very different part of the world than the rest of the city of Kingston. And we would see and hear coyotes all the time, beautiful turkeys all the time. It's just like a wilderness part of the city of Kingston, and that's in that same area there. So it is pretty incredible. Kevin, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, these are city parcels we're talking about, right?
city parcels that we took
City
for back
parcels,
taxes. Yeah.
okay, yeah. Well, I think there's two different things we could, you'll have to confirm this with the Corp Council, of course, but I think there's two different things that you could go here. You could do like a, yeah, forever wild restriction on it. The city could put that on there. Or if they do designate it as parkland, that cannot be de-accessioned. In other words, it can't be sold off very easily. You're supposed to get state legislative approval for that.
Okay.
Those are two discussions you should probably have at the Corp Council as to the best route to proceed. And I think
Okay.
Cal's got a question.
Yeah, Cal?
Yeah, just a thing to keep in mind, you mentioned some of them are unbuildable because they're in a floodplain. The community solar arrays at the Point of Praise Church are also built in a floodplain where you can't have buildings, but infrequent flooding is okay for solar racking. So if
Yep.
you've got areas that are like perhaps prone to flooding in a way that they can't be rebuilt on, but are relatively flat, if any of them are, then that actually might be an okay spot to consider solar. Just something to keep in mind.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, they are incredibly unflat. They are part
Great.
of the least flat part of Kingston. But what's flat on one side, could have southern exposure, right? So half of it has southern exposure in theory. So lots to consider. These are really good points and I appreciate it. Other thoughts on this? I'll keep folks posted for sure. The second project I wanted to talk about was the community preservation plan. I'll give you an update on this every month as I come back in. We were able to go out to bid. We had to go out to bid for a consultant for the community preservation plan. We did receive responses to the bid, and the notice of award went out yesterday or today. And so we awarded that to Behan Planning and Design. They were the highest scoring respondent. They also happened to be the firm that did our open space plan. And so it will be a very smooth transition from working with them on the open space plan to working with them on the community preservation plan. And what's an advantage of that as well is that they also did some prioritization as part of that process. And that's basically the bottom line of what a community preservation plan is, which is prioritization. So we're basically going to be picking up where we ended with the open space plan and moving on very swiftly. So we're just working out the contract now. My intent is to be reaching out to folks this week to form the project advisory committee. I do have some commitment already from some members on the Conservation Advisory Council. If there's anyone on this Climate Smart Kingston Commission that is interested in serving on the project advisory committee for the community preservation plan, it will be a short-term ad hoc committee, which will meet from now until July. Not very many times, probably fewer than 6, to advance the writing of the gathering of the information, the public outreach, the prioritization, and informing the writing of the community preservation plan. So if you are interested in doing that, please let me know. I expect to form that project advisory committee and have our community kickoff meeting sometime in March, and then move through the prioritization. They have partnered with a subcontractor, which is Upstate GIS. They are going to be doing any mapping that we need that is lacking from our current map portfolio. Upstate GIS is also working with Phillipstown, which is another community that we meet with monthly to talk about the community preservation plan. Right now, the towns of Gardner, Marbletown, Phillipstown, and Kingston are moving forward simultaneously with our plans. So I'm excited about it. I really enjoy working with Behan. The other respondents were great as well. It was a difficult decision, but we were able to have a review committee that chose Behan, and we're moving forward with that. So that's exciting. And the other project I wanted to mention was the advancement of the kayak dock on the Rondout. So I had a meeting with our project manager at the Department of Environmental Conservation to meet to talk about the timeline for designing and building the new ADA accessible kayak launch, which will go on the Rondout Creek underneath the Wirt Street Bridge. If you haven't been downtown lately, the Wirt Street Bridge is under construction and will be under construction for a long time. And by long time, I mean at least until the end of next year. So unless I can negotiate with DOT to let me sneak a kayak launch under their construction, we might not see a kayak launch till 2024. However, I'm going to still design it. Not me. We are still going to design it. So I will be having a public stakeholder meeting to bring together all the people who have any interest whatsoever in a public launch. That will be soon, probably in March also, or early April, of folks who are interested in, informing what that launch looks like. And then we will have to go out to bid for the design, most likely. We'll design the system, and in theory, we will order the system and have it waiting for us somewhere. When the bridge opens, we will put it in. So that's an exciting project that I will be happy to see to fruition. Those are the three I wanted to go over as part of this agenda item. Does anyone have a question on any of those things? Okay, then we will move on to Repair Cafe. Melissa, do you have any updates for Repair Cafe?
Nothing really specific to Kingston. I'm going to start planning an event for warmer weather, but there is a sale happening April 22nd through the 24th. It's a 3-day sale to raise money for a coordinator position with Sustainable Hudson Valley. And they're collecting items from 5 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays leading up to, I think, through March. I'm going to send around the email after this meeting. But if you have anything, it's very specific what they're looking for. They're looking for like higher priced items that they can resell. Yeah, so not just anything. It's not just like, oh, do some spring cleaning and donate. It's a very specific set of items. But they're hoping this will raise a couple $1,000s for a coordinator role. They have, I think, around 10,000 from when John passed away, but they're looking for, I don't know if it's going to be more part-time or more full-time, but they're looking for a bigger role, so they need to have the funding. So that's happening April 22nd through the 24th is the actual sale at United Methodist Church in New Paltz. And again, I will forward you the info on what they're collecting. Melissa Everett keeps saying if you have any $10,000 clocks lying around that you want to donate, which I don't feel like most people do, but yeah, that's that. Yeah, and then I'm just trying in the meantime with Repair Cafe. I've been trying to do a lot of organizing to get the Kingston Cafe ready. And a lot of like the supplies that John had given us, I'm like slowly getting our own stuff, because he was using stuff for New Paltz and bringing it around to all the different cafes, including Kingston. So a lot of the like easel stands and signs and things like that, I'm just slowly recreating it.
And so the coordinator is going to be coordinating for the whole valley?
The whole Hudson Valley, yeah. We have these like facilitator meetings. We just had one last weekend where they talked about the sale, but a lot of like the stringing togetherness hasn't really been happening, where he would send emails to check in, get everyone's dates up, get a calendar with the whole month schedule. A lot of facilitating goes into like bringing us all together and making it a cohesive like Hudson Valley movement, not all these little separate cafes. So, but yeah.
So have you broached the idea of having a Repair Cafe at the Earth Fair yet?
No. Yeah. I feel like because I want to help with the other activities, I don't know like who feasibly could like help run that and plan it. And I know I actually thought about maybe using the kids craft area to create some of the signs that we need for the Repair Cafe. I was gonna run that by everyone at our next planning meeting, but yeah, I thought about it, but I don't know if it's feasible. You meant like for live repairs or just for, because I know we in the past did like just a table for information about Repair Cafe, but live repairs is like a different.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if it comes together, it comes together. We've tried it in the past. If you want to do it, do it. If it doesn't, that's okay too.
I can put out feelers to the coaches and see if anybody's interested.
Okay.
I think a big thing would be power and access to like, because even our sewers use like, machines. Our electric mechanical, they use like solderers. It depends on the type of repair, but most repairs you need an outlet for.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we definitely could use the pavilion.
Okay.
Which is electrified. So yeah, I mean, put your feelers out if people are feeling it. We'd love to have it.
Melissa, is this a sustainable Hudson Valley sponsorship type thing? Are they sponsoring the coordinator position or?
Yes, and so
okay.
yeah, they were
That's what I thought, yeah.
sponsoring John for a while, like for
Yeah.
flyers and other things. They weren't really paying him much, but yeah, they've been a sponsor for a while. But now they're kind of emerging as more of a forefront sponsor.
Yeah, I sort of gathered that from speaking to some of their board people. So yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that clarifies it then.
Yeah.
I also just want to mention that last week I went to give a presentation at Woodland Pond, which is a housing complex, healthcare facility kind of type of place in New Paltz. I had 85, this might not seem relevant, but I'll get to the point. I had 85 people there who listened to this presentation about going green within Woodland Pond. 85 people whose average age was 85. And long story short, they have a sustainability committee and they said that they're taking up and doing Repair Cafe.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
I don't know if it's like, are they allowed to use that name or if they're just like
In their community?
Yeah, they're doing it at Woodland Pond. Like they're starting because I said, this is some things you could do at Woodland Pond. I went over like things you could do individually and as a community. And one of them was you should be doing Repair Cafe. And they're like, we're totally doing that already. So
wow.
Can I connect the person who's their sustainability committee to you?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
and if they want to be part of the official Hudson Valley movement and repair movement, there's like data analysis and forms, like you need to collect data when you're doing the repair, and yeah, there's a lot involved. Okay, cool. Exciting.
I was very excited because there's a captive audience there. They're all living there and they all have things, and it's like the perfect
In
situation.
time. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'll direct the head of that to you.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Is there anything else on Repair Cafe?
Nope.
Okay, awesome. Anything on outreach and education and youth engagement?
I just wanted to mention the spring 2022 solar mapping cohort situation, which I'm also going to forward up as an email as well to everybody. This is the second workshop I'm doing with Scenic Hudson and Manager Green of Clearwater. And basically we're meeting for 5 sessions with municipalities to guide them through Scenic Hudson's How to Solar Now solar mapping tool. And you could actually use that, Julie, if you really want to see those parcels you were talking about, if their viability, because they have layers like wetland layers, habitat, what is it called? Endangered species layers, all sorts of forest core edge layers. And yeah, it's basically where is the best place to put solar in your town. We're looking for town or village zoning and planning board members, CAC members, Climate Smart members. And yeah, My intention was to make a map for Kingston and present it. Manager Green actually made one for Rosendale and presented to their planning board. I feel like I was so involved with the facilitation of the meeting, I didn't actually get to. So I'm really hoping this time, now that everything's set up, we have agendas and everything, I can actually run through the workshop for Kingston. And then at the end, actually have something. But yeah, so that is the spring 2022 cohort. It meets on Wednesdays from 7 to 9. We usually go a little under 9, but it's a big commitment, 5 sessions, and yeah. I'll send around the link after this meeting if you guys want to sign up or forward it to anybody you know that would be interested.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah, great. If you do end up making it a map for Kingston, that will be awesome. I hope that you can figure that out.
Okay, I'll try. Or if Roberto or anybody wants to attend and help me, because also like you can, a few people can attend from each municipality and then you work together as a group and it's easier than trying to do it all by yourself for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it for me for education.
Very good. Anything else on that? All right.
Just real quick, we had I had floated the idea of if there's any sort of materials that Climate Smart Kingston wants to be able to give out at the Earth Fair, we should talk about that sooner rather than later so that we can make those. But I don't have suggestions. I just want to make sure we're thinking about it.
Well, we have something in the works, yes?
Yeah, but if I don't, yeah, Melissa had started a trifold that or it wasn't a trifold, it was a series of pamphlets that I made into a trifold, but it's, you know, it's in a draft. And the question was, what is the information people think that we should be giving out about the commission? And would it make more sense to have information about the new climate action plan rather than about like, here's where you bring your recycling? I don't know which kind of information is more useful, but it can be whatever we decide we want it to be, and I'm happy to put some time into it. But I think just getting a sense from folks of what they would like to like put out as information about the Climate Smart Commission, if we're giving that out at the Earth Fair, that seems like a good deadline to have something ready by. So
Agreed. I think we need to.
So I'd love to hear, like, if we have time, I would love to hear thoughts from anybody who has them just now, real quick.
Yeah, I think our initial goal for that pamphlet was an Earth Day fair. I want to say whichever last one it was, 2019. And I would love to have it. It was supposed to be like either how do I or where do I ... and kind of just in Kingston as a resident, a one-stop comprehensive resource with everything on it. So recycling, composting, CSAs, any sort of question you may have. But the thing is, it got so big and there was so much information on there that then you can't really have one simple little pamphlet. So we could break it up and have something just about Climate Smart. But I did feel like I wanted something with our logo and some sort of material that we were promoting, because it seemed like when I tabled, we had a lot of other flyering and materials, but nothing with our logo that we developed. But if we need to split it up into 2 ideas, or if we need to make it, you know, we talked about a lot. We talked about maybe having magnets with like those individual, like just on recycling, just on CSAs, just on repair, that people could put on their fridge. So there was like a lot of ideas we had strung around. We don't have to keep it to the pamphlet, but I do agree we should have something by Earth Day. But that's my input.
And I think we should have something about the climate action plan too. Okay, so in order to make this happen, so we're 3 months out. So it needs to be like planned, designed.
Ideally, if I'm drafting it, I would like to draft it before the next meeting so that we can give feedback and then confirm it at the following meeting.
Do we want the Education and Outreach Committee to have a subcommittee meeting?
Yep.
That would be fine with me. I think that would work great. It's you, me, and Maya, right? I think.
Yeah.
So can you guys pull together a meeting and also let me know when it is?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Does anyone else have burning thoughts or ideas that they want to share now before we split this off into a subcommittee? Cool. Thanks.
Perfect. So we will hope to have a draft of something by next month. Betta, I see your note there in the chat. Are you saying to add that into our materials?
I mean, it might be a good opportunity to promote that that's happening, and we could even have like a web page to send people to with resources and a recording of a presentation. If we don't have one, to direct people to like a live presentation, that would give people the lowdown on what's in the plan and the kind of comments that would be good to submit before the comment period is over in May.
Well, I mean, the materials that we'll be producing, I think will go way beyond May, right? I mean, these are going to be things that in theory
Yeah.
we'll use for a long time. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
this
certainly
would be
something
something to pass out at Earth Fair. Well, then
Okay.
again, I guess is the comment period till the end of May? That would really be like the last hurrah for the comment period. But anyway, maybe we can come up with some kind of a flyer
Okay.
that's separate from like a permanent, or not permanent, but
Yeah.
longer use flyer of
Okay.
the commission.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to the next agenda item? Alrighty. Green business challenge or green jobs? Got any update on that?
I don't really have an update on that. I don't think. Nope.
Because Darcy is doing this now, right?
He is, yes.
Okay.
He is heading that up, which I thought we talked about at the last meeting, but I don't think I have any updates since then. But maybe we should invite him to come to a future meeting, and we can hear from the horse's mouth the latest. My understanding is they're going to be launching it like this spring, relaunching it.
Okay. I will talk to him because technically Amanda Laval is a non-voting member, but she is not in the Department of the Environment anymore, and he
Right.
is. And we talk about his stuff. So I'll talk to her and him and see if they want to.
Or Nick Vazda, another former commissioner.
Yeah.
I think is he heading up the Department of the Environment now?
He is.
Yeah. So having him or Mike come to present on that would be good.
Okay. Great. I will talk to them about that. All right. Anyone else have other things on green business challenge or green jobs that you wanted to talk about? All right. How about zoning updates? Any updates on zoning?
Yes, immediately after this meeting, there's a zoning Zoom. If you're not zoomed out, they're going to be discussing Hurley Avenue and Albany Avenue, which were Dover Cole, the consultants for Kingston Forward, the form-based code project, felt were sort of a little bit underlooked, and they needed a second go through. What got canceled though, and I think it's posted on the city website now, is due to this storm that's impending, was the Saturday walkthrough in those areas. Tomorrow they're doing Rondout. That'll be on Zoom, and again, Rondout was canceled for Saturday. So the Rondout portion is going to be concentrating on East Strand. That's my understanding. I've kind of been in touch with Bartek Saradaj on this and assisting him with doing some outreach, providing, various lists that I have from different places. And other people have been as well, most notably Anthony Tampone Jr. and Tanya Garment. So that's 6:30 tonight and 6:30 tomorrow. And you can get the link at Engage, right on the city calendar. You don't have to even go to Engage Kingston. But if you're interested, you may want to go to Engage Kingston and just get a little familiar so you're conversant with what they're discussing.
Okay, sounds good. Hopefully they're able to reschedule things post snowstorm.
Yeah, that's the intent. I think it says it right on the city website. Yeah, and that was what Staradaj had said. I can probably even, maybe I have that open. Let's see if we have that open. Yes, Albany Avenue rezoning walking tour postponed due to storm. A new date will be announced soon. Oh, he didn't put Rondout on there. Is that maybe that's a separate entry? Let's just double check the Rondout, Yeah, Rondout's canceled too. Yeah, okay. So they will be rescheduled. A new date will be announced soon.
Okay. Great. When you see those dates, maybe we can put that on our
Yeah.
Facebook page or circulate it at least.
That's, yeah, as soon as if Bartek sends it to me, it'll go right out to you guys and we can coordinate that way.
Great. Okay, anyone else have anything else on zoning? Renewable energy, CCA or solarize, any update on that?
Yeah,
Sorry.
oh, Cal, you wanna go?
The only thing I had is that it seems like the county solarized community solar initiative has been extended.
Yeah, that's what I was
But I'm
gonna say.
not, okay, great. You probably have more information than I do. Go ahead.
I don't. All my information is from that meeting we were on last week. So yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It appears as though they've extended it indefinitely.
So does that mean that we are extending it indefinitely?
Well, it's Ulster County Solar. It's like Solar is Ulster, and I guess as a municipality in Ulster County, our residents are, able to sign up whenever they want. I think the last time we did any advertising for it was in the fall. But if they are, going to extend it indefinitely, I think it's probably worth telling people in Kingston if we have the platform to do so.
Right, okay. So we definitely want to put it on Facebook and our website. So can we find out, like, are we saying indefinitely because we know that? Indefinitely is a long time, like forever.
I think that was the word that was used, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe when I talk to Darcy, I can ask him if.
Yeah, I would ask him. I mean, it is definitely still open.
Yeah, before I make a Facebook post, I would want to know, because if I say it's been extended, it's like, you want to say something after that,
Right, okay, when I talk to him, I'll find out. Ellie, do you want to just speak to the Soul Smart stuff you're working on?
Yeah, so we are getting involved in SoulSmart. So we're getting SoulSmart certified. SoulSmart is a certification run through Cadmus, right? Run through Cadmus?
They're the technical who provide technical assistance, but I don't think that they're the ones that are doing it.
Well, I've been in contact with somebody from Cadmus who is helping us get this SoulSmart certification, which is like a certification that just says that the city of Kingston has made it more accessible for residents to, like, solarize their homes and stuff like that. So taking out roadblocks to, like, permitting and that kind of thing. Right now, I'm like in the very beginning phases of getting the certification. So just drafted up a letter of commitment that is going to get sent over to the mayor and signed. That will put us at like the base level of SoulSmart certification, which I believe is bronze. But we're going for higher. And in order to achieve the higher levels of certification, we do need to, I believe it involves something with the, permitting process for, applying to get solar panels on your home, but I'm not 100% sure what the next steps are. But that's what I'm working on right now. We got the letter of commitment. I'm going to get it signed by the mayor and then, regroup what our next steps are.
So SoulSmart is funded by the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Energy Technologies Office. And there are 427 communities in 41 states and the District of Columbia, representing over 101 million people that are sold smart communities. And as Ellie mentioned, there are 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. So we are getting technical assistance through Cadmus on it. They've been trying to help us through this for a while, and we just didn't really have the bandwidth to do it. So now Ellie's working on it. Thanks, Ellie. Keep us posted on that. Anything else on that agenda item? All right. So clean energy communities, we are going to receive a benchmarking report from Ellie. So I'm going to pull it up and share my screen, and Ellie's going to present our data.
So this is the 2021 energy benchmarking report for the 2020 calendar year. So just wrapping this up at the end of last year. So a resolution of the Common Council from 2017 mandates that we benchmark any municipal buildings that are over 1,000 square feet. So that involves stuff like City Hall, the firehouses, the community centers, etc. And benchmarking essentially means that every month we take the data from the natural gas and electricity usage that we get from our central Hudson bills, and we put it into a software called Portfolio Manager, which just catalogs the data for easy access. So when it's time to create these reports, we just download the data from the past year and aggregate it in Excel. And this is what I have to present to you, the data from 2020. So the reason we do this is because we want to keep track of which buildings are using, the most energy and where we should focus our sustainability efforts. And the data from these reports provides us with that information. So all of this data is reported in kilobtu's, because when you download the data from Portfolio Manager, that is the unit it is provided in. And it also makes it easier because a lot of these buildings, the majority of these buildings have 2 metrics that I'm reporting on, electricity and natural gas. And kilobtu is an easy unit to use because, it's just 1 unit on a graph. We can put 2 different scales on either side, and there's no, CCFs versus, kilowatt hours and stuff like that. So there are a series of graphs that we'll get to that I'll show you. These are all the buildings that are included in these reports. So as I said before, they are municipal buildings that are over 1,000 square feet. We have the Andretta Pool House, the Andy Murphy Center, the Central Firehouse, City Hall, a series of DPW facilities, the Hodge Center, the Volunteer Firemen's Museum, the Visitor Center, which is still owned by the City of Kingston, but will probably be left out of the report next year because we are, I believe, in the process of selling it, but don't quote me on that. The police station, the Rondout Fire Station, the Rondout Neighborhood Center, the Salt Shed, which is another DPW facility, the Uptown Firehouse, the wastewater treatment plant, and a number of water department facilities. So we have, actually, we only have the one. Sorry, I thought there were a couple more. No, it's just the one. So as you can see in the 3rd column, the majority of these facilities report on electricity and natural gas, but for some, the only data that is available is electricity, and for others, the only data that's available is natural gas. For a facility like the Salt Shed, there is no natural gas in there. It is, only lights. Same thing for the Andretta Pool House, which is only open in the summer, so they don't turn the heat on or anything like that. So if we could just scroll down to, can we look at the Andy Murphy Center graph real quick? Because this one's just a single metric. So each of these buildings in this report, which can be found on the sustainability website if you want to take a closer look, the majority of them are dual metrics. So we have electricity scaled to the left axis and natural gas scaled to the right, both in kilobtu. Natural gas is represented with the orange line and electricity with the blue bars. So this is the Andy Murphy Center. If we scroll up, we have the Andretta Pool House, which is only electricity. I'm not going to go through each one of these graphs because it's, a lot of just looking at the data. But there is definitely a trend in the way that we use our energy. We have substantially less natural gas use in the summertime, in the summer months, and the most electricity in the winter time when the days are shorter, so the lights are on longer. Additionally, facilities that are open at night, such as the Andy Murphy Center, do use more electricity and natural gas. So the Andy Murphy Center does serve as a community center, and during many months, we offer programming at night, such as basketball and volleyball and things. So we can scroll through some of the graphs. Here's City Hall. As you can see, we have the same trend where actually the electricity is greater in the summertime. So the trend with the electricity is not always, the spring months and the winter months are the shortest days are the largest users, but the natural gas is pretty consistent. The natural gas is a pretty consistent dip during the summer. Electricity, though, can really depend on what's going on during the year. So this is 2020, which was, when everything was shut down for COVID. So it's not, February, March, April, May, there were people in City Hall, but I don't believe that they were having, meetings in the chambers or anything. Actually, I don't think they were having meetings in the chambers at all during 2020. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the electricity trend is not consistent with all the graphs because building usage varies a lot more than natural gas usage and like heat usage. All right, so we can keep going. A lot of these graphs, if you just want to do like a slow scroll through, similar trends. Again, if you want to look at any of this data more closely, you can go to the link that I believe Julie just shared in the chat.
Very nice.
Oh, and all these facilities are listed alphabetically if you're looking for one in particular.
I just want to know, the link that I put in the chat was for the greenhouse gas emissions report. I must not have posted the benchmarking report online yet, but I will, and I'll send it to everybody. You'll notice here in the Roundup Fire Station that the electric is not, it is much higher all year because these are 24-hour-a-day facilities.
Yep.
365.
Police station too. We'll get to the police station. This is one, the Rondout Neighborhood Center is one that was severely impacted by COVID because this was closed. I want to say this was closed almost, usually it's open at night for like programming after school, but during COVID, this was only open during the day as a learning, what do we call it? For kids when school was closed, remote learning. So all nighttime activities at the Rondout Center were, shut down. Kids went home after school was over.
Salt shed, we don't use salt in the middle of winter, so we don't need the lights on.
Yeah.
I mean, middle of summer.
Also, no heat in this facility.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so this looks weird. The reason the graph looks like this is because September 2020 was an actual meter. I looked into this as an actual meter reading after many months of estimated readings. So I think they just made the adjustment on the 2020 bill. This is the number that I pulled right from the 2020 bill. It was over 80,000 kilobTUs, but the month of September, more than likely, the bulk of this bar should be distributed out over, January to August. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, you can't really accurately distribute it. So what I did is I went with the estimated. I just wanted to report consistently across each graph the data from the Central Hudson bill. So that's why it looks like that. And then we have the wastewater treatment plant, which uses the most electricity of all facilities in the city of Kingston because it is, processing constantly. Here we have cumulative data, so natural gas stacked on top of electricity. As you can see, the wastewater treatment plant does use the most cumulative energy across all buildings, but not the most natural gas. The most natural gas can be attributed to the Andy Murphy Midtown Neighborhood Center. A pretty important reason why the Andy Murphy Midtown Neighborhood Center uses so much natural gas is because the building is very inefficient. So the windows are super leaky, the radiators are right next to the windows, and a lot of times the heat just goes right out the window. So in an ideal world where the Andy Murphy Center is a wonderful, efficient building, it would probably be a lot lower on the chart. But unfortunately, we use a lot of natural gas in this building.
And it's also used many, many, many times a day, many, many, many hours of the day. So we have staff here all day long, and then we have night basketball or volleyball or whatever, and that's a lot of heat in a really, really, really vast building.
Yes.
Cal?
Is there any interest or energy for having having an energy audit and maybe upgrading to heat pumps at the Andy Murphy Center?
We did do a flex tech study many years ago, and we can look back at that. We haven't done one recently. I mean, I think certainly based on this data, it looks like the building we need to be addressing first. But again, as Ellie's saying, like if the envelope is unbelievably inefficient, right? So, I mean,
right.
Just
so
Ellie's
I guess what
right there. Ellie's got four windows that are floor to ceiling. My office.
Oh yeah.
Three.
See, I don't know if you can see, but my radiator is right next to the window. When that thing is on full blast, I don't feel it at all. So I got to turn it off. But anecdotal. I think what's interesting when you look at this particular graph is the ratios between the natural gas and the electricity in a lot of these facilities. We're looking at like maybe a quarter, like upwards of like a third, or even like beyond a half in some facilities like the police station and the wastewater treatment plant, like of these ratios.
Right.
And then you look at the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center and the ratio is just completely out of whack. And
right.
that really points to inefficiency. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm.
Oh, sorry, Cal.
I'm asking. Sorry. I'm asking partly because in an ideal world, usually the order you do things in is you get the energy audit, you seal up the building so you're using less energy, and then you would do solar, like you're getting the big solar array on the roof, and then you could power your heat with that solar. And it's excellent that there is going to be that big solar array on the Andy Murphy roof. I just am curious about the other steps, but it sounds like this is a priority. So I will be following along with interest.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We definitely need to do an audit and also understand what we can and can't do just like physically with these windows. I mean, it is not all, I mean, there's multiple things. It's not just the windows, right? Because we're only talking about these windows that are in a arguably small percentage of the building where we are. But the entire building has huge windows that are like floor to ceiling if you ever drive by our building. And a vast open gym, right? We have mega fans, that help to condition the air, but there's so many unique spaces and different zones, and at any given time, it can be very, 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 well, this is getting all anecdotal. We understand that we need to be focusing on the building for sure. Betta?
Totally, yeah.
I just wondered whether there's a sense of when the boiler will be, needs to be replaced anyway on the Andy Murphy Center. Like if it was replaced recently, if it's like 20 years old, like,
Yeah, I don't think it's 20 years old. I actually don't think it's that old.
Mhm.
I don't actually know offhand though.
Okay. Well, there is some funding potentially available. The New York Green Bank says that they are committed to providing financing to projects in disadvantaged communities that are either like affordable housing or community-oriented buildings. And I think that the Andy Murphy Center, given its location, would, qualify. And they're very interested in building decarbonization. So that would involve like doing a whole, energy efficiency retrofit, and then looking at how much electrification would cost. So anyway, if that's something that you're interested in exploring, I'm happy to, make the connection to the Green Bank people, but I think we would need some more information.
Okay, yeah, I think we need to start with an audit to understand, and then figure out where we need to go from there and look at the whole thing systemically. Although, as Cal has pointed out, we're now slapping solar on a really inefficient building. But
Yeah, but the solar is for the electricity.
and the solar was free because we did great things, and the
Well,
money is coming through. for doing
Mostly
great
free,
things, mostly free, almost free,
almost free.
almost. So yeah, these are good suggestions. Better, yes, please connect me with the Green Bank people. All right. Should we go to the next page?
Yeah. Yeah, here's another cumulative graph, cumulative monthly energy use. As you can see, electricity does experience minor fluctuations and natural gas significant, which can be expected, based on the amount of heating days in the year. So this little text blurb just at the bottom here just elaborates on the highest energy user, which is the wastewater treatment plant at 6.4 million kilobTUs, followed by the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center and City Hall with 2.5 and 2.1. We can keep going. Next, we have a 2019 versus 2020 visual. So in 2020, we did consume about 5 million kilobTUs less energy, which is great. This can be attributed to a number of, energy efficiency projects. A number of buildings received LED lighting upgrades, including the wastewater treatment plant, the firehouse, the Round Neighborhood Center. City Hall receives energy-saving storm window installations, which protect from heat loss, which are really great. Additionally, it's worth noting that this was a COVID year, and there was decreased occupancy in buildings. So that can be some of this can be attributed to the pandemic. All right, we just have our conclusions here, elaborating on, trends, the electricity and the natural gas fluctuations throughout the year. August is the month of greatest electricity use, and January the month with the greatest natural gas use. This is consistent with the previous benchmarking report as well. These are the months with the highest natural gas and electricity use. And this is just a brief summary of why we do these reports, to identify, inefficient buildings. As you can see from the cumulative energy graph, the most inefficient building is the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center. So energy efficiency efforts should be focused on buildings such as the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center, but also other large users such as the wastewater treatment plant. Even though this is a more efficient facility, it still consumes a lot of energy, and we want to do whatever we can to minimize that energy use. So if you're looking for more information on this or other sustainability initiatives, you can visit the website, which is, KingstonNewYork.gov/sustainability, where you can find this report. You can find the previous report, maybe even the one before that, the greenhouse gas emissions report, all those reports. So that is our benchmarking report, and I will be working on the next one, so the 2021 one, in the coming months.
Great. Thank you very much, Ellie. Does anyone have any questions or comments about any of that?
Ellie, it's Roberto. I'm just curious, why did you use British thermal units for the electricity instead of kilowatt hours?
The reason I use that is because when you download the data from Portfolio Manager, that is the unit that it is provided in. Also, when you have those, two metric graphs, it was a lot easier to have kilobtUs on either side. So that, I guess each side of the scale is, for, the natural gas and electricity, and the numbers are a lot different. But it was just easier for me personally to look at if it was one unit instead of two.
Okay, anything else? All right, and Ellie, do you want to just, thank you for doing that. Do you want to just also mention the LED report that you're doing?
Yeah, that is, all the edits that I have to do on that are formatting and grammatical. I have all the data. If we want to do a quick, I guess I haven't sent it to you, so probably don't want to do that right now, right?
We'll do it next month, but do you want to just mention what you're doing?
Oh yeah, sure. So we did a full retrofit of our streetlights, our 2,400 streetlights, from conventional light bulbs to LED bulbs, which resulted in significant energy savings, very significant energy savings. And I have a report that I'm just finishing up some of the grammatical stuff and the formatting stuff, but presents the energy savings from that as well, because the benchmarking report is only for buildings that are over 1,000 square feet, and the LED streetlights have contributed substantially to energy savings, but they are not included in the benchmarking report, of course, because they are not buildings. So that is a separate report that will be coming next month.
Great, and that also includes traffic signals.
Traffic signals too. We took some traffic signals out.
So we will look forward to that in March. Okay, any questions for Ellie or comments or concerns with clean energy communities? I will just give an update on the solar project. I'm still not in contract with my CERTA yet, which is why we're sitting here, not having solar on top of the Andy Murphy Center. Still waiting. I'll let you know.
Any news? Have they said, you can expect a contract soon?
What?
Okay.
Nope. So we're waiting. But SunCommon is still committed, which is great. And so we will be anxiously moving forward once we are in contract with NYSERDA. Okay, should we move on then to solid waste management? As I have always said, the organics plan is still in production. It's not done yet. I will mention that something we've been working on that overlaps between electrification and solid waste is that for the last 5 days, myself and my colleagues at Department of Public Works and Ellie have been knee deep in understanding what it would be like to be one of the first communities to adopt an electric garbage truck, an electric packer. So there is one on the market called Mack LR Electric, and New York City is the only community right now that we're aware of in New York State, at least, that is using them. They have one, they have 7 more on order. They have a mandate that they need to switch over their entire fleet by 2040, and they have 2,000 garbage trucks. So they're piloting it. We have in the last several days researched, and this is also on the heels of the county purchasing electric buses. The county used a program called the New York Truck Voucher Incentive Program. We've looked into that. We've researched the MAC. We've met with MAC. We have done all the research we can do. And although this is a very exciting, Julie, saying this, that we have been doing this, the realistic team here, which includes Julie, is saying that we are not moving forward with the electric packer. The electric packer is $750,000. Their local closest service center is in the Bronx, which is more than 70 miles away, and it gets a 70-mile charge. So even if we needed to have it serviced, we would have to tow it there and tow it back. They are more than 2 years out of production, and New York City needs 2,000 of them. And Mac was only going to make 500 of them this year. Now they're actually only making 125. And for many other reasons, including it costs over $100,000 to do the installation of the charging. And we have to scrap a vehicle for this program of the equivalent size and capacity, and we don't have a vehicle of the equivalent size and capacity to scrap. So I have about a 10-point list of how this is not currently going to work for us. But what we are doing is not totally throwing it off, off the shelf. We are working with MAC to do an evaluation of our packers where they insert, actually they give us I thought it was going to be a device, but it's basically done on your phone. And so the drivers have an app where basically MAC tracks your route and they understand like how hilly it is and stop and go and turning and idling. And then they tell you whether or not your route is feasible for electrification. And so we are going to do that so that we can understand if we are able to move forward with this at all, moving forward in the future, once it's a little bit more fiscally reasonable and operationally reasonable. So we are doing an incredible amount of due diligence on this. I do want to let you know, we've got a director from the mayor to figure out how to make it happen, but it is not very feasible at all right now. We had a long conversation with the folks in New York City to see how that was going. They have their own service center down there. There's just many things that are not in our favor right now for this. So I'll keep you all posted. We are still transitioning as much of our fleet as possible, and we did do our diligence on this one. But at least for now, Kingston will not be the upstate community with the electric packer just yet. So then moving on to Earth Fair, we've been beginning our planning meetings. We have a solid, an amazing team that is moving forward to Earth Fair. It is confirmed. We are having it. It is going to be May 14th from 10 to 4 at the Forsyth Park. And we have been working on assigning roles for who's going to be doing what and establishing early on logistics that we need, like fiscal sponsorship and sponsors and, scope of what we want to be doing and just things like what date we're going to do it on. So folks are welcome to attend the planning meetings if you'd like. I'm not currently circulating them to everybody because I don't want to clutter people's inboxes, but if you want to be participating in the planning, certainly let me know. Right now we've been meeting every 2 weeks. We'll probably continue to do that for a month or so, and then we'll meet every week. Even if you don't want to do the planning, send us ideas, send us connections, send us whatever. We are going all out at this point. We decided we wanted to go big, like we always have. And if we need specific things, I'll reach out. I don't know if Cal or Ellie or Melissa or anybody wants to weigh in on or add anything else or discuss anything at this point.
I just want to say that we're going to start sending out letters to potential vendors soon. So if anyone has an idea of a vendor that they would like to see at the Earth Fair, they could send it over. We'll add it to the list.
I think for me, for folks who are excited that it's happening but don't want to be involved in the planning, consider early whether you're going to want to volunteer, because that's going to be critical. It'll be fun.
Super fun. It's gonna be a day just like today. It's gonna be like so 60 and sunny the whole time. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I would add even to just table for Climate Smart Kingston, we have to think about who would be available. I think last time we had several shifts, so we could split up the day if you're not free for the whole time. Or if we're gonna have a Climate Smart table, I'm assuming we are. But
We're gonna have EVs there again, Julie?
Yeah, we are. So if anyone has connections to or personally has an EV that you would like to have on display.
Mine,
What kind do you have?
Nissan Leaf.
Okay, great.
But I was also thinking a lot of the big dealers in the area like Chevy and Ford and Nissan and Hyundai, they all have electric vehicles. I'm wondering if they were approached, whether they would be willing to bring their vehicles, their latest models, to the fair.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that last year I feel like I can't remember who was doing it, but there was folks doing like EV events and things, and we at the time sort of decided to collectively not do it at the time because there just are not a lot of vehicles on lots. And to be doing this whole like everybody buy an electric vehicle and then like sending people to the dealership and there's nothing available felt like not the appropriate thing to do at the time. Certainly if dealerships want to come have demos and or have things on the lot, we will certainly invite them. But also just simply asking around amongst ourselves, like what vehicles do we have collectively? You know, we have definitely have access to a Bolt, a Leaf, a Mitsubishi. Ellie, what's the Mitsubishi one that we have?
What? Sorry.
What's the Mitsubishi one that we have?
Oh, hold on.
Mitsubishi Outlander.
Outlander. All right. Yeah.
You know, so
Okay.
I don't know. What are other people's feelings on asking dealerships to bring stuff? Is that passe at this point, or should we be doing it?
I think it's worth asking, but in the past, I remember the dealerships that we spoke with were hesitant because, you know, it takes them away from their busiest day, you know, on the lot where people are coming in wanting to do test drives. So oftentimes they don't have that capacity, and you know, they don't have enough like employees to come man or staff the event. But I think at least one Earth Fair, now it's been a while, we did have maybe the Nissan dealership brought a vehicle, like, you know, and just kind of dropped it off. But I mean, I think it's worth reaching out to them. I just wouldn't like get our hopes up that they're going to want to do test drives or have someone available to come. So I think Julie's idea or whoever's idea of like having a little area where those of us who are part of the community that can bring our EVs to be on display for people to check out and, you know, talk to owners of EVs about their experiences could in many ways can be just as effective, you know, as having a dealership guy there whose job is to sell the cars.
Yeah. I mean, just in municipal vehicles alone, we've got among the different departments, we've got a number of different types. You know, and I have two in my family. So yeah, I think it'll be a combination of these things. So if anyone knows, it would be awesome to get a Silverado, one of the new trucks. I don't even know if they're out on the road yet. Does anyone know if those are on the road yet? The electric trucks.
If the F-150 Lightning is out, you got to get one of those. Yeah, I was going to say, when I was at Suncom and they did an annual EV like block party almost, where it was dealers mostly bringing their vehicles, and they'd have the hood open and you could look. And so, but there were it was only like probably 4 or 5 individual humans that they had to talk to get that to happen. So it sounds like it might be that the city has enough vehicles that there's no need. But I remember them having a pretty successful time convincing dealers to bring cars. Like it was worth their while to send somebody to this event. I remember it being extremely hot and they were still out there all day in their like button ups to showing the cars, having a great time. So I think it would be a question of getting the right contacts, and I am willing to get back in touch with a Suncom contact if that would help, to see if they feel bad for me and give me some information.
Great. Yeah, for sure. I mean, as I said, we
I'm gonna
definitely at least have a Leaf, a Nissan Leaf, a Chevy Bolt, and a Mitsubishi Outlander. If we could get something else besides that, it'd be great.
Then maybe the thing to see is if anyone will bring us a truck.
A truck. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah. Maybe
Totally.
that's what we need to be asking the dealers about. Like, bring us a truck.
bring us a truck. We want a truck.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Other things related to the Earth Fair that folks want to chat about now? Okay. Well, there'll be lots to talk about in the next couple months. There's no new business on the calendar, on the agenda. Public safety, Serena's not here, Kevin.
I can run you through that quickly. Ted Greasy from the CAC is attending those meetings, and he presented on the CAC annual report at a recent meeting. I think that might have been the January meeting. They're meeting, I think, right now, in a couple of minutes, but I'm not going to be there. I'm supposed to be on the zoning thing. They didn't have too much on the agenda, some no parking. One of them I had to figure out where it was, Westrum Street. Yeah, I'm not sure I've been on Westrum Street before. It's off of Albany Avenue. And yeah, there was some no parking sign or something there that they were dealing with. And they have Ted on the agenda, but I didn't see Serena on the agenda. Golden Hill is on the agenda for the traffic. So they're still discussing that. And I think that covers us.
Okay, thank you. Roberto, you want to give us an update on Ulster Climate Smart?
Okay, nothing current because the meeting is Monday. So I'll be there Monday. But Fan Tantillo did send me an email, which I forwarded on to you, Julie. I'm assuming you got it. Good. So I don't need to go through that, do I? I mean, do you want me to sort of say what it was about, or we need to?
I mean, you forwarded me a couple things. So are you talking about
From the New
Water
York
State
Environmental Facilities Corporation for the public comment open on draft amendments to Clean Water State Revolving Fund intended use plan fiscal year 2022.
Yeah, so do you want me to circulate that to everyone?
Yeah, it's up to you, Julie. I mean,
Okay.
if you think I can, you want me to do a quick, I can do a.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So the draft amendment number 1 to the 2022 CWSFR, which I don't know what that is. Final IUP, I don't know what that is either. 4 topics: addition of Green Innovation Grant Program, round 13 projects to the annual project priority list, revisions to the annual project priority list, small growth review of projects added to the annual project priority list, and public notice of the revised hardship policy. Written comments on the draft amendment number 1 must be submitted by 5 p.m. Monday, March 7th, 2022 to Maria Cunningham, Project Manager, New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, 625 Broadway, Albany, New York, 12207. Email. Well, do I need? I don't know. It's a long email. Should I?
That's good. I'm going to forward it to everyone. I think it was sent out to a lot of people, so you might have all got it already, but I'll forward it.
Okay. And a couple of tidbits. Manager Joe Green did 2 new people were put on the Ulster County. Was it the Ulster County? The people who collect the trash, the Ulster County Authority.
Resource
Also-
Recovery Agency?
Yeah, Resource Recovery Agency. 2 new people were just appointed by Manager Joe Green. And a personal tidbit, I just designed and installed a 240 volt, 30 amp charger for my Leaf at one of my properties in Kingston. So if anyone wants to come by, take a look at it, it's 25 Main Street. It's in the back. And I'm having a good time with it.
Awesome. Thanks, Roberto.
My pleasure.
All right. Any other announcements or events that anyone would like to share? Okay. So our social media postings, what do we have?
Have the community solar pending the details on it.
Yes. Can we send out a save the date for the Earth Fair? I don't have a logo or anything yet though, so maybe it's way
I
too
was
early.
gonna, yeah, if I have any sort of graphics with it, then sure.
Okay.
Got to make the Facebook event. If there's no Facebook event.
Oh, yeah,
exist.
are we, would Climate Smart Kingston be making the Facebook event or the city of Kingston? Or what Facebook page? Dun, dun, dun.
I don't know. Let's talk about that at the Earth Fair meeting.
Okay, all right.
Okay, is there anything else that we want to post? Maybe Kevin, if you get the new dates for the zoning, we could repost those.
Yeah, whenever they're available, we'll get that right. We'll get that over to you all.
Okay. All right, so I guess those are some couple things for now, most of which are pending a little more information. All right, is there any other business? I want to just check next month to make sure that folks are feeling like they're going to be here. It would be March 23rd. Is everyone feeling like they're going to be around March 23rd to have forum?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okey-doke. All right, so if we are good with that, then I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Roberto, can I get a second?
I second.
Cal, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okey doke. It is 6:32. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you in a month.
We're
Hey,
waiting for the big one.
I have a quick question. If okay, yeah, Julie. Actually, two questions. I don't see the email that you mentioned sending, so if you could just resend that to me.
Yep.
Either I got caught somewhere or I didn't get on the list somehow. And the other question is, might be